kick us off, first of all, good evening to you all. Thank you very much for taking the time out to join me and my team. Aidin and I are incredibly grateful on behalf of BES for you carving out time in your very busy week. I know it's Monday. Thank you for that. And while this is intended to be an informational session, and it will, you're going to get a lot of information. We're going to try to go at a pace that feels responsible in a way that allows you to digest the information, but also ask us questions. Aidin and I, we don't want to be the only voices heard tonight. We want to make sure that you all are having the opportunity to share and contribute to this space. So don't be alarmed if we call you in, right? That's one of our practices here, is to call folks into the conversation so that they can engage in the conversation. So if you hear your name, don't be alarmed, just jump off, be confident and share. And also be gracious too, right? If we mispronounce your name, know that that is completely not our hearts, but please do correct us. We take feedback well, and we'll make sure to pronounce your name correctly on the second attempt. That said, my name is Jabari Peddie. I am one of the senior directors of the LENS program. I have the opportunity to lead alongside my colleague Aidin. Prior to me joining the BES team, I had the privilege of working in schools. I served as a teacher for a number of years, and then I served as a school leader for a number of years as well. 2 of the years there, I spent as a founding principal of a school that I can actually see out of my backyard right now here where I am in Boston, in the Dorchester neighborhood. I'm so happy to see that that school is standing and still thriving. I drove past it this afternoon. I got a chance to see some of the kids and the students and the staff there as well. So that's a little bit about me. You get to learn more as the conversation continues. I'll pass it to my colleague.
Hi, my name is Aidin Carey. I am the other senior director of LENS. I am was a school leader as well as an operational leader and instructional leader prior to coming to BES 6 years ago. I'm really excited to meet you all and tell you more about our program, and hope that we get to discover if it's a good fit for your leadership development needs. And I will pass it off to Gina.
Hi, I'm Gina Musumeci. I'm the Chief Program Officer at BES, so I get to support Aidin and Jabari. So excited about LENS and so proud of LENS, because when I was a principal and a superintendent and kind of hopping around development opportunities, this was what I needed, something that had school visits and training and coaching, but all together in a way that really helped me make change at school. So thanks for coming tonight to learn about it.
Jabari, you're muted.
I will, should I pass it to someone, Aidin? Is that what? I will pass it to Dr. Ward.
Okay, hello everyone. I am Dr. Santana Ward. I come to you by way of Nesbit, Mississippi, which I'm sure you all have never heard of that before. It's really close to Memphis, Tennessee. I've been in education for 16 years now. 4 of those years serving as an assistant principal of a charter, as well as 11 of those years being a teacher, a classroom teacher. I'm currently an adjunct professor for American College of Education. I also own my own educational consulting company, and what we do is work through state grants. They finally provided emergency funds to non-public schools. So right now I send teachers into school to assist with intervention. So I'm doing that. And I was nominated for this program because I saw that there's a fellowship program and they're now targeting Mississippi. And I was so excited because we have 0 charters in North Mississippi. And we are located in a district that has a great need for a charter school. And being that most of my reign was in a charter school, I felt like this would be the program to assist me with that development. Although I've already started the process of getting my 501(c) status for the school and everything, I just would like to be a part of an organization that will mentor me and provide me with the proper information that I need to move forward and develop myself as a leader as well. That's about all I have. So I'm here trying to soak up as much information as I can. I'm in the interview process right now.
Awesome. Thank you for that. So listen, here's what we're going to do. We absolutely want to hear everybody's voice and get a chance to meet you all. What we're going to do is we're going to start with the actual information session because we want to make sure we're respecting the time. And then as we get to certain points, we're going to go ahead and jump into groups, so we'll have an opportunity to share names, share roles, share any other questions or anything that really resonates with you. But again, we want to respect your time and give you as much information as you possibly can about saying tonight about Lens. So that being said, we'll go ahead and jump right in. So the question here is, what is Lens, right? You've heard about this program and you have like great interest is what brought you here. So we'll just give you a quick overview. Lens is a year-long part-time training and coaching program. We work with a range of leaders, anybody from the grade level to department chair, principals, vice principals, assistant principals, directors of programs and or departments. If they are a leader of people and leading large initiatives that affect and involve a lot of people, then they're right for Lens. We've learned that in order for you to get the most out of our program, to really understand the philosophy and be able to put it into practice, it's best that you are currently holding a leadership role, or will step into a leadership role next year where we can really develop and work alongside you. Again, we just learned that allows our leaders to put into action almost instantaneously the things that they've learned in our training to do it real time in their schools. As you see there, some bullets about our programming. School visits is part of it. We're really happy to restart that after 2 years in the pandemic. Cohort-based training. I saw somebody enter into the chat. They want access to a network. The cohort is the right way to go. There's one-on-one coaching. You get a chance to be paired with either me or Aidin, and we will work with you throughout the year. The network of support, you're connected not only to your cohort, but also to other leaders who have been part of our Lens program with whom we know have gone through similar challenges. We will be able to extend that bridge for you. And what's most important that we learned is during this period, you don't just need a cookie cutter approach, but rather something that is really responsive to your context. And we do that through our tailored skill building projects. So why Lens? Just take a moment to read that slide that you see there. We've had quite a bit of impact and quite a bit of success, and we're always looking to continue to grow and learn as we are maturing as a program. Some facts that I think is important for you all to know is this year, 97% of our Lens participants reported that their coach, which is either me or Aidin, knows their context, understands them as a leader, understands what motivates them, what demotivates them, and the why behind why they're in this work. Another awesome stat is that 90% of the leaders, Lens participants, my coach helps me to create opportunities and approaches and systems that raise the bar for excellence in their schools. So we're really happy and fortunate to have our leaders sharing these remarkable things with us. Aidin, I'll kick it to you.
Thank you. Now that we have an overview of the Lens program, I just want to go into detail about a few of our key components. Andrea, can you go to the next? Thank you. So one of the most important parts of the program, which we hear the best feedback on every year from participants, is one-on-one coaching. So this coaching is, as Jabari said, with myself or with Jabari. It is either monthly or bi-weekly, depending on the preference of the participant. And this coaching is responsive and focused on what the participant is working on. So if you are an instructional leader, we might spend time working on what are your goals for your coachees, for the folks that are teaching. We might look at video of folks teaching and talk together. We might live FaceTime and observe together and debrief. If you're an operational leader, I coach most of our operations leaders. I spend time walking about the building with them or working on systems documentation, all sorts of things. And that's really responsive to the work that the participant is doing and their development goals, their leadership development goals, and what they want to become in that year. We definitely use the competencies, which I'll share with you in a moment, as a model. These are leadership competencies that we've developed based on other leadership competencies at BES and other organizations. And this helps drive our work towards specific goals. But the big purpose of coaching is really one-on-one support. And these are some samples of the leadership competencies. These are the first two. There are 5 in total. Give you a second to just read through. These are examples of competencies that we train towards. So as I said, these are 2 of the 5. These help ground our work, but by no means are the only thing that we will talk about. Our goal is at the end of the program that every Lens leader will have developed competency in each of these categories. And we will talk about that midway through the year, as well as in our coaching meetings. We will ask participants at the beginning of the year to choose which competencies they want to focus on in their growth based on what they need and what their school needs. And we will use this to drive our work throughout the year. And I'll kick it back to you, Jabari.
Awesome. So I'm going to pause really quickly. Any burning questions that have emerged from what you heard so far about the what, the why, and a part of our how? Okay. And also we'll have an opportunity again to jump into breakout spaces. But when you think about our training that Aidin had just alluded to, this is what you will experience. 5 days of in-person summer training led by either me or Aidin. We also have the opportunity to partner with a few external partners, as you see there in our 3 virtual training sessions, both Onward and the Together Leader. And then in addition to that, bridging those moments that we have are our 4 additional virtual trainings that will happen throughout the year. And they're really tailored to the participants' roles. I can't highlight enough for you this idea of responsive coaching and role-specific training. We are adamant to not apply, say, global solution to a problem that is really local and that's really specific. So to the best of our ability, we tailor our learning experiences to the role of the leaders in our program. We have specifically training for instructional leaders, culture leaders, and our operational leaders. Between Aidin and I, we have a ton of years of experience spanning instruction, operations, and culture. And so we'll be able to leverage our experiences to help develop the leaders in our program. And at very intentional moments, again, connecting this idea to the cohort, we group our leaders within our cohort with leaders who share the same titles, with leaders who are in the same geographic region, same context, so that it can be a really, again, personalized learning experience. This slide that you're looking at here just provides you a snapshot of the learning journey that we take our leaders through. You see highlighted there are our leadership competencies. And under each of those leadership competencies, there are a few components, cascading, that we really lean into throughout our training. Just give you a moment to just take a look at that. So while we have identified topics to talk through, and we really believe in the power of the scope and sequence, we're also committed to ensuring that our training feels really authentic and reflects the most pressing concerns at the time. And so we always want this experience to feel relevant and responsive to the greatest needs of our leaders. I'm just gonna quickly go through this view. Katie, can you confirm if they have had access to this?
Not everyone has.
Okay, well, we'll share this framework with you, but this framework is something that we created particularly for the month of March, when it can be one of the more trying times throughout the school year. We know it's a long month, very few breaks, I'm seeing Greg nod his head, yes. But this DIVE framework that we came up with, it just really forces leaders to be really introspective about their leadership and determine what it is that their teams need and who that leader needs to be for their teams. Do you need to provide your team a direction? Do you need to provide them with inspiration? Are there members of your team who you need to validate? Are there those with whom you need to be a little bit more empathetic? And this is not an insulated thing. You can do all of these things at once, and you'll learn that different people within your school, within your team, will need these different things at different times. So there's an opportunity for you to thumb through the DIVE framework, really get a deep understanding of how you can apply this to your own context. Aidin, can you talk to me about our school studies?
Yeah, so one of our most exciting pieces for this year is that after 2 years of remote time, we're going to get back into school study, back into schools. A key component of BES training forever has always been studying the quality practices of excellent schools, and we are looking to do that again with Lens this year. So we will have 2 days of in-person school visits. Those will be in October and then again in March. And during these school visits, we will bring all of our participants to study and learn from a variety of model of schools, grade levels, locations, etc., all located in one area. We have not finalized our areas yet, but we have in the past studied schools in Memphis, in Nashville, in New York, in many other cities, and we will be doing that again. It is so important to get a chance as a school leader or just even as a teacher to go into another building and study another context to solve your own challenges. You may be different. You may have a lot of differences. You will have similarities. You will have things that you can learn from these schools that we study, and you will also do that in a cohort model. So you get to bounce ideas off each other and problem solve together. So we are incredibly excited to get back to doing this for the next school year. In the skill building projects, which we used to sort of define more carefully for people, this year we are actually going to allow folks to develop their own projects based on their needs and their interests. So some sample projects in the past have been, for example, as I was saying a moment ago, a teacher coaching project. So a participant will take a video of teaching, then they will take a video of a one-on-one meeting, a coaching meeting, and they will share both those with their coach. They will put their own self-evaluation comments, their own feedback to themselves, and then we will also give them feedback and discuss. So that's a sample project. If that is something that you as a leader are working on, then that's exactly what you can choose to do. But we want to be responsive to people's priorities and people's development areas. Because Lens is a program for people in grade level leader positions, but also principal positions, but also operational leaders, we really need to be responsive to where people are. And so people will choose their own projects and work on those with their coaches. Other examples, we can do projects around data analysis, hiring. We've had people redo their hiring system and submit that as a project that they've worked on with their coach. And this will be one of the key components of the program as well. And then finally, as I think we've said a few times, the most important part is the cohort model, the network of support of yourself, getting to know people who are doing the same work, having the same struggles and the same successes, different struggles, different successes across the country. We are told again and again that this is the best part of the program and the thing people bring with them for years to come. Networks they keep emailing, text chains that they reach out to and say, hey, how are you figuring out your COVID reopening plan or whatever it was in the last couple of years? And you will have access to exemplary resources from these schools and others from across the country.
Awesome. All right, so team, I'm gonna stop screen sharing, open it up so we can see everybody. We've come to the Q&A portion of the info session. Looking at the size of the group here, doesn't quite make sense for us to do breakout groups, so we can just be in community. Would love for you to do two things. When you share a question, either a question that you're sharing or something that really resonated with you, please just share your name your position, and then the question or the thing that was most resonant. And Aidin and I and our other teammates can answer any questions.
Hi, so I'm Elisa, principal from Rhode Island. Are the summer dates set already? Like, do you know the dates for the summer times?
Yes, those dates are July 11th through 15th. So it's 1 week, 5 days, the second week of July. And I'll put that in the chat as well here.
And those are in person?
Those are in person, yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Greg Daniel. I am currently a high school principal with Democracy Prep Public Schools in New York City. This is my 6th year as principal, and I am really interested in how Lens could help extend the capacity of my leadership team. And I guess just wondering, like, how do school principals do this at the same time? Because obviously I know we need the development, but also our school work is very demanding. So that's just one thing I've been thinking a lot about in terms of jumping into something like this.
It's a great question you asked, Greg, and thank you. So this year we coached approximately 5 principals this year. And believe it or not, they are our greatest ambassadors for the program. Anytime we like, hey, can you like just talk to us about your experience? They're always so willing and bursting at the seams to share about their experience, primarily because they have an opportunity to be in company, right? They have the opportunity to be in company with other principals, middle, high school, elementary, experiencing very similar, though unique challenges. So that's one thing. And when we said earlier, this idea of responsive, like, we don't ever want this to feel like an add-on, an extra thing to do, but rather it should be complementary to the work that you are already doing. So if there's a challenge that you're having, an interpersonal challenge that you're having, a person with that you may manage, bring that to both me and Aidin, bring that to your coaching sessions, bring that to your cohort, and we can solve around that. The skill building projects that Aidin spoke about before, that's not this new thing that you have to do, not a like archive of videos that you have to watch, but rather what's actually happening in your school. What projects are you working on in your school? Where are you in your strategic planning process? Is there a new initiative that you're rolling out? Bring that to us, and we can collaborate with you on making that a really rich and relevant learning experience. The most important thing is that you feel as if though this work is really tightly sewn to what it is that you're already doing. We find that that's one of the best ways to really make the learning feel cohesive. Great question you asked, Greg.
Oh, sorry, Jabari, I didn't mean to cut you off. I would just add in a super practical way, as the principal who would like still go to school at 6 if I needed to take a flight to a PD at 10 because I was worried. I will add that it's only 4 days out of your school building, right, Aidin and Jabari? That's why we do the summer, because our leaders, I don't think, could make it work otherwise. And then we just cram the school visits and the PD in, so you get all of that visibility into multiple great schools, but you're only out of your school for 2 days. I could also say things about how great it is when you're out of the building and people can step up, but I know that doesn't quell the anxiety, so I'll leave it there.
I think the last thing I would say is we were in schools, we were leaders in schools. So we know what it's like. We do not say, you may not change your meeting this week. We are absolutely flexible to any needs that people have. Sometimes we'll take calls after school hours, or we'll figure out what people need. So we are incredibly, I would say, that's also one of the pieces of feedback that we get that's the most positive, is how flexible and responsive we are to what people can and what they need.
Hi, my name is Andrea Ricketti. I just got my acceptance about an hour ago, so I'm super, super excited. Just the idea of working with a small cohort, differentiating the work that you do according to the needs and experience that we all bring, I think is something that is also amazing and super appealing about this program. So all I can say is that I'm super excited to join you. I've been in education for 30 years. I'm aging myself. I've done everything from pre-K to university, been in the classroom, been a principal, been at downtown, like they say here. So I'm just super excited to learn alongside with all of you.
We're excited to have you in the program, Andrea. Thank you. It's awesome for being here, and it's going to be a great year. Other questions folks may have? Or again, sharing something that really resonated with them from what you heard this evening.
If we don't have other questions, I'm happy to jump in on, yeah, great. Thank you. Yes. So to jumping in on registration process. So if you are a school leader that you want to send someone else, so you want to nominate someone in your school, your assistant principal, whoever that might be, you can fill out the registration form, which is on the website, and I think Katie can drop in the chat as well. Thank you, Katie. That registration form is filled out by the person who's nominating or agreeing to send the person from their school. Thank you. There's the link. And then once that is completed, it's a very simple form on Alchemar. It does not take very long. The questionnaire will be sent to the participant. So right now, if you're somebody who is hoping to be in the program yourself, the way Andrea shared that she is, then you would ask a leader in your building that has the ability to decide that or to agree to that, to complete the registration form, and then you will fill out the questionnaire, which is just to give more information on you as the participant. Any questions on the registration process itself? It's pretty simple, and it's at that link that Katie just dropped in the chat. Okay, and then, oh, go ahead, Gina.
Katie just put in the chat question she got earlier. What if folks are still hiring their leaders?
Yes, so if you are somebody hoping to send leaders from your school and you are still hiring those people, you can absolutely still register. The deadline for registration is June 1st, so we would ask that you would register even if you don't have their name yet. We would need the name pretty soon after that so that you can get them all set, ready to come to training July 11th in Boston. But we definitely can be flexible about timing after June 1st. If you need a moment to still hire and finalize, because we know that lots of people aren't hiring right now, you can still register even if you don't have the exact person who is going to be in the program hired yet.
This may be a question I need to ask. That's like, who typically covers the cost of this? Is it the individual participant? Is it the district? Because I was like, oh, I need to talk to my boss about like sponsoring me.
So it is usually the school or the district, yeah. So frequently schools will say, okay, we're going to cover the cost of this for a leader or two. We would love schools to send multiple leaders. We find it's really, really powerful as a person in the cohort to have another person in the school to do work with, to bounce ideas off, to do a project together, etc. But the school or the district usually are the people who, and then sometimes a partner, like a funder organization. Yeah. But we have also, Greg, been in conversation with folks at Democracy Prep, so I can also connect with you after.
Yeah, I talked to Duncan about that a little bit. So I was going to email him and Steve.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you, Aidin.
One other question that we get frequently is, how can we make sure Lens fits into our existing leader development so that it feels cohesive? And what we do is we build in intentional times throughout the year to have that touch point with you and your managing director, the person who has sponsored your seat, or the person who is coaching you, so that there's clarity and transparency about what it is that we're working on the program. So it looks like that very first meeting, that intake meeting, if you will, we get really clear on what are your aspirations, what are your strengths, what are your opportunities for growth. We take all those things into consideration and build out for you a pretty personalized development plan. as the year progresses, we have an opportunity in which we send a report card, if you will, but more like a midpoint check-in. And just send it out to the person who sponsored your seat so that they are completely aware of what it is that we are working on and the progress that you're making towards your goals. And you fast forward now to May, where we are right now. Aidin and I are in the process of having closeout conversations with the managing directors again, just to let them know the progress that you have made and how you have performed in the program. So we try to be really intentional about making sure that there's transparency there and cohesion across how you are being developed, so that there's things are being echoed and not a bunch of new information is being shared while we're in our coaching calls.
Another question that we often get is people would love to hear examples of how current challenges were tackled with the Lens cohort, and a huge one from this year obviously is the staffing challenges that many schools suffered from this year. Greg's eyes say it all. That was a universal problem, and so we absolutely spent a fair amount of time on that in Lens together. Jabari designed a really powerful session on motivating team, which he referenced a little while ago, and people got to spend time just saying, what are we doing to keep the people that we have motivated, even though they're covering too much. And people found that to be some of the most powerful and most immediately applicable work that we did in order to keep as many staff as they could, and figure out creative ways of allowing for staff loss, which I know a lot of schools had. We definitely worked on that both in our November and our March trainings. For next year, the training is going to be split out more every 3 months. So there should be a good checkpoint for every quarter, which will allow us to be really strategic on, okay, what are the big challenges that we know people are facing right now that we can come and put our heads together to try to solve. Any other questions that folks have?
Hi, Doug Sanders here. Just had a question. What are some of your biggest challenges for your 9 through 12 schools that you've witnessed in the past?
I'm currently coaching two high school leaders now. And first of all, I hope I'm answering your question correctly. You're talking about specifically challenges that apply to the high school band, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So as we shared earlier, like every challenge is really unique. Also a shared and a similar experience that we find happens across our cohort. So leaders never quite feel like on an island, but rather they have some persons that they can lean into, leverage to help them solve these challenges. But what we've seen, some of the challenges that they deal with are attendance, getting the high schoolers to get into classes and ways that we can incentivize them. Engagement with assessments are some of the challenges that we've also dealt with. Those misbehaviors that happen at the elementary and middle school levels, we see them a little bit more magnified at the high school level, because now we're dealing with like little adults or children who think they're adults rather. So those are some of the challenges that we work through at the 9 to 12 grade band.
I would add just a couple more that we're seeing with our high schools that we coach right now. Credit recovery, figuring out credit recovery, especially over these last couple of years, so that kids are graduating on time and with everything they need, has been difficult. A second one is so many schools are piloting dual enrollment and other opportunities, and figuring out how the guidance and counseling team and school administration keep their eyes on how those courses are going for kids, while in addition to their regular high school courses. And then I think the other big one we see coming up recently is schools wanting to branch out and not just automatically prescribe college for every child, but figuring out what the really high quality opportunities are for given kids and where their strengths are going to be supported, and it's going to lead them down a path of, choice and happiness.
So I guess the other question is related to curriculum. In terms of languages offered, what are some of the common languages offered other than, Spanish at the high school level?
I know of schools that offer Mandarin and Cantonese as well.
Okay.
French has been another one that I've encountered.
Okay. Thank you.
Of course.
Other questions at this time? I want to point everyone to the chat where you will see links to the website. You will also see the link to the DIVE framework, which is the one that we mentioned earlier, which is a framework we developed for motivating teams, which we found to be really, really helpful. There's also other links that Katie has dropped in here, so please take a moment to scroll through it. And Katie has dropped in again, bes.org/lens, one-stop shop for anything you need. Also, feel free to reach out to myself or Jabari directly. You will see our information on there as well. Sure. So Katie wants, so summer training. Yeah. So summer training topics this year were also dropped in the chat. You can see those on the website. But we look at the summer training as really a time to put in the foundation of anything that we're going to work on throughout the year. So we spend time looking at our competencies. We spend time thinking about or talking about leadership mindset and presence. So thinking about why do you come to the work? How are you going to be the leader for your school and for the work that you need to do? We spend time on preliminary stuff from the very beginning of coaching to larger folks who have had more experience coaching. We'll have different trainings, but really the basis of what one-on-one coaching can look like, both for instructional and operational leaders. We spend time on foundational adult and student culture, which we know has been incredibly important in the last few years with the trauma that everyone is bringing from the pandemic, from being out of school. So spending a really amount of time talking about how do you set a really strong foundational culture, both for staff and students at the beginning of the year and keep with that throughout the year. Jabari, are there some other topics in the summer I'm missing?
You covered them quite a bit. I know one that we're going to do as well is, thinking about your why, like what compels you to do the work. It's an important narrative to have on hand, as it is a tool that you can use for influencing your team, inspiring the team, and also inspiring yourself as well. So there's a session that we lead on that.
Yeah. Also have a training in the summer with the Together leader. You've come across the Together teacher. This is the same, but for leaders, helping us get ourselves organized for the most personal effectiveness possible. And we'll have training on leading with equity, both from our partner Onward and also from ourselves, ensuring that we are centering equity and inclusion and diversity in all of our leadership and our work. And there's a question in the chat where it happens. So it happens in the summer is in Boston. The other two are TBD at this point. The travel should be arranged by the school or by yourself, but the accommodations is arranged by us. So once you register and get an acceptance letter that Andrea mentioned getting it today, that will have in there a travel memo that will explain everything that you need to know about the summer. Other questions or thoughts? Okay, well, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming and hearing a bit about Lens. Really great to meet you and really talk about how excited we would be to work with you in this coming year. Please email the list, email us, go to the website. We are very happy to talk about Lens all day, so please reach out.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much.